Hello and welcome to the Car Care Nut Shop. Folks, I got some news for you you're not gonna like. I held on to this video for a long time to making it, but I think it's time we had a sincere talk here, because what you're gonna see here is not pleasant. The Toyota V8 engine, the UR series engine, we always talk about it as a really good engine, and it is for the most part. If you take care of it properly, it's decent. It's not perfect, but it's decent. Now that we're getting rid of V8s, all I hear is negativity over the V6, negativity over the V6. And that's okay. I get it, because they have problems. They're taking care of them, but still, it would be nice not to have problems to begin with. But everybody I'm noticing saying, bring back the V8. Please don't. That's what I'll say. If you're going to bring back a V8, bring back a proper one. Not the UR series. Because we are literally starting a line of UR series engines with the same problem over and over and over. It is becoming a theme here. This beautiful Land Cruiser here, Land Cruiser of all of them, not a Tundra, not a Sequoia, not anything else, a Land Cruiser. This is 2013, just shy of 200,000 miles. Yes, it does have 200,000 miles, which is fine, but if a Land Cruiser goes at 200,000 miles, we got a problem. This is supposed to last more, because the one before it will run happily at 500,000 miles, 600,000 miles, like nothing. Stuff around it will break down, but not the engine itself. Not the case here. And that's becoming a theme, and I'll tell you about it. You notice the motor is torn down, and I have, in every video we talk about a 3UR, I tell you they had a tendency in the early years of dropping valves. They'll break a spring, and then the valve will drop, and it'll just destroy the entire engine. That was the early years, though. After that, they had a chain tensioner rattle. That chain tensioner sits here on the driver's side. It rattles, clatters when it's cold, then it goes. You got coolant leaks, you got oil leaks. That's, that is not going to stop the car. Well, the coolant leaks may, but if you keep an eye on it, we're good. But this engine just quit. Almost, basically. It still runs-ish. Blown head gaskets is becoming a thing with this engine, and for no reason. This car was in our shop probably last year. We actually made a video on it. We had some rodent damage. You remember? I'll put that video right here. We had rodent damage right there that I repaired the knock sensor wire. It ran perfectly fine. Car was taken care of. Owner loves this car. I mean, this is his baby. He takes it out on camping trips and whatnot. Well, all of a sudden, it just started overheating. Coolant was not low. Car was, everything was just normal, driving normally. Started overheating. Huh. Well, he took it in locally, check it out. They couldn't figure out what's going on. They're like building a lot of pressure. We're not, because not a lot of people apparently work on Land Cruisers because they're reliable. A lot of little shops in remote areas. He towed the car here. Go start the car. It literally smells like a coolant exhaust. Just coolant bellowing out of the exhaust. Okay, well, we got a blown head gasket, but why? I don't get it. Number 7 was so bad. I mean, just look at it. If you come around, look at all the pistons from the side. It's easier to see it. See how all the pistons have the same appearance except the last one, the very last one. See how that one is steam clean. That's your first indication that we got a coolant problem. So there's a cylinder head. Not too bad, but notice these are darker than this one, especially in the middle area right here. You can see it. Steam clean is the word here. And the head gasket, let me just orientate it so I can tell you where it actually blew, which was number 7. It blew right here, right in this spot. It's very hard to see it on camera, but I'll try my best here. If you see right here, see how this is black? That was actually a combustion going through it, and it just blew it out. Let's talk about head gaskets and the kind of the science behind this. This is a perfectly flat surface. The block is a perfectly flat surface. This is a multi-layer steel gasket. See, this is something with modern cars. I mean, this is not even that new, but this is the beauty. This multi-layer steel, this is steel head gasket, was one of the best inventions ever. This started in the 90s. They are so robust, you're not going to blow through them easily. But there is a good and a bad to everything. The good part about previous, like the composite ones or felt, whatever you call them, the old ones, the cork ones, I call them. When things get hot or you have a weak point, it will literally rip the gasket on the side and you have just open season. But the metal gaskets, they don't do that. I mean, this right here, this is blown. Maybe see the edge of it. But doesn't even look deformed. Looks perfectly fine. Let's look at the other side, same spot. You barely see the edge of it, but it's all there. That's the problem. Here's what the UR series engines are getting into the habit of doing. Head gasket blows. You get coolant in one cylinder. Usually, for some reason, it's always 5 and 7. I'm yet to see another one, and I'll tell you about the other ones. This one is number 7. I've seen both. I've seen 5, and now this one is a 7. So here's the standard operating procedure. If you take it to the guy, small shop that doesn't work on engines, all they do is mufflers, brakes, and there's nothing wrong with that. Some guys don't like to get involved with this because this is the kind of work that is a high liability work. You start getting into motors and transmissions, that's high liability work. You make one mistake, you just cost your customer thousands and yourself, because you have to take it all apart again. You take it to any shop that doesn't really specialize in this stuff. Here's what they're going to do. Oh, it needs a head gasket. Let's go buy the head gasket from Felpro, which is a brand you should never put on your car, by the way, let alone a head gasket. I wouldn't trust them with a drain plug gasket. They'll put this on, put the cylinder head on, ship it out the door. There you go, all fixed, sir. It'll be $29.95. Well, here's the problem. Did you check the surface? If it's flat? They usually don't. And that's the scary part. I hope there is a lot of small shops out there that are really good about what they do. But when you see a shop that don't work on motors, don't tear things down, don't fix actual engines, don't take your car to them because they have no clue. You know what most shops will do? When they see this, they see coolant in the cylinder. This motor is junk. We need a used engine. Let's get a used engine and throw it in. Well, did you try to see? Because I've had different cases of different everything. Here's the principal problem with the V8. Because of this metal head gasket here, what these motors are doing, you have the head gasket. Do you see, and we've seen this problem with the 2GR. Do you see how this coolant passage right here is so close? I mean, you literally have this tiny little area here. That's all what's keeping the coolant from going into the cylinder. That's all. Pull this guy out. That's all you got. This tiny little area. I mean, as strong as this gasket is, it's gonna go. And here's what helps it go. The 100,000 mile coolant intervals. You get that coolant become so acidic, it literally starts chewing on this coating. You see this black coating? That's a coating to help it not do that. And guess what? Head gaskets. Same coating. Look at this coating. Coming apart. There's another blown one. Same coating. Look how it pulls apart on the edges. This 2GR, by the way. Same thing. This one is not so bad. See if we have it. This one is not terrible. Same thing with this one. Look how it's coming off here. Same thing with this one, and we can keep going on and on and on. Here's a 4-cylinder one. See how that coating is? It's all coming apart. Folks, we see this all the time, and it's becoming a theme. This coolant hole is a disaster waiting to happen. And the same thing on the 2GR. But the 2GR is orientated in a way, 2GR is a 3.5 liter V6, that leak outside, which is fine. They run perfectly fine. You'll have coolant leaking outside. You top it off, we're good till we fix it. But this one is doing this deal. See how this one is about to go? It's also getting close because the coating's gone. This one, coating's completely gone because it's been blown through here. Here's the problem though. Because this is a metal gasket, this is steel, this is aluminum, and the block is aluminum. When we get into a tug of war between these two, who do you think will win? That's the problem with modern engines. This will win. You can't warp this, but this will warp like there's no, like we're just going out of style. So here's what happens with these, and this is not always the case, but this is what we're starting to see more of when it gets to this point. I mean, this motor, you literally pressurize the cooling system. You start seeing, you send a camera in the cylinder, you start seeing coolant rushing into the cylinder. That's how bad it is. It's from here. You see it bubbling from this area and leaking right in the cylinder. That's pretty bad. Here's what's going on with this motor. This cylinder is good. It's not warped, especially this area. There's zero warpage. So the specification on this is just shy of 0.02 of an inch warpage. So we lay a straight edge, we check it. This one is actually good. This is the side that went. But the problem is, and this is what we're starting to see more of, the block is not. And here's the dilemma we are with this motor. Here's where I'm literally pulling my hairs out. How the conversation with the owner of this car, because the specification for warpage, so warpage is how much waviness do you have on that flat. They actually give you a spec. If you're above that, you got to replace the block. There's no way around it. We'll talk about that in a second. So the specification here is just over 2,000, basically 2,000 and a half. 0.00257 is the specification. Maximum warpage. Well, I have 0.021. Here's what the manual tells you. If you have over the maximum warpage, replace the block. And that's it. They don't tell you if you have just under it, are we good? Let me tell you something from experience. We're not good. Because right now this engine is cold. There's no pressure on it. There's no behemoth head bolts on it. We have never disturbed the surface yet. What is going to happen when we do? The minute this engine heats up, is everything going to stay the same? I hope so. But are we going to hope so at the cost of the customer? Because this right here, just doing the head gasket, is almost a $5,000 job. That's the problem. And this is not just this case. We have 4 cars in the shop. We are a tiny, insignificant shop in a little remote town next to Chicago area. And we have 4 right now in the shop. If you look behind you, the GX460, we haven't even tore that one down. Exactly the same thing. Number 5, that one. Number 5 on that one is so bad, you start that thing, it'll start misfiring and it'll cloud up the entire shop. Just like this one. And I have 2 more. Line Cruiser and a GX. And I have 2 more actually scheduled, coming. This is becoming a thing with these. And I've had a Sequoia in the past. And we've had actually multiple of these. I've been kind of watching this trend. But every single time, either the head is warped or the worst, the block is warped. And here's the problem, why the worst, the block is warped. This cylinder head, if it gets warped, I can send it to a machine shop. If they are a good machine shop and we talk, you're gonna skim, take the minimum amount possible, and you gotta give me an exact measurement, because then I gotta compensate for this with a thicker head gasket, because they do sell a thicker head gasket to compensate for cylinder head machining. So basically, whatever space I took here, I compensated with a thicker head gasket. And some people ask, well, why are you doing that? It doesn't, I mean, you take a little bit, we're talking like couple thou here. Here's the problem, and I'll show you that problem. Variable valve timing is the problem. So when you machine the cylinder head, you effectively made it shorter. If you machine this a lot and just go to town until it's clean, right? That's what all would assume to be the case. Let's machine it till it's perfect. Well, let's just keep going. Let's grind at it. Well, here's the problem. You made the distance from here to the crank smaller. If you don't compensate for it with a thicker head gasket, your timing will technically be off. And when the VVTI works, the variable valve timing works, it's all over the place. When it's at base timing, we're okay, because we're like a quarter of a tooth off. We should be okay. But the minute this variable valve timing spins and changes the timing, everything will be all over the place. And you'll get timing codes. Ask me how I know that. That's a lesson you learn. Certain lessons you learn and you never forget. That is one of them. You do not machine cylinder heads on a dual VVTI engine on top of it without compensating for a head gasket. But the problem is you can only compensate so much, because I can't just take as much as I want out of the cylinder head and then put just a giant gasket. Folks, we have torn a motor that has 2 gaskets put together. Let's just put it this way. Yeah. You can't do that. There's certain science. You can't just have a giant gasket. It's just going to lose its structural integrity, and you're going to just blow right through it. So here's the problem. The cylinder head is fine. If the cylinder head is warped, you're doing good, because you can still machine this and compensate for it with the gasket, or you can replace it. This is not a problem. Yes, it's very expensive. This cylinder head runs about $1,500. Don't quote me on this number. I'm just going off memory here. It's not the end of the world. It's a line cruiser. They retain their value, and we're great. Place the cylinder head. Worst case scenario, it's too warped, too damaged. We have cracks, whatever. But the problem here is the block. If you own a machine shop, please comment down below. Do you resurface and fix warpage on an aluminum block with this style liner? Because you actually can't, and you're not supposed to. Because if you do, you are potentially going to get your liner loose. Because here's how these things are made, and this is how Toyota has always done it with aluminum blocks. This liner is put in, and then the cast is put around it. This is called a spiny or spiny liner. It's a steel liner, folks. This is not an aluminum liner, but it's put on, and then the block is cast around it. So all you have holding that liner in place is the mechanical adhesion of everything being enclosed around the liner, and then it's machined, and we're done. Well, if you machine it, you could actually get a liner loose, and that's the problem. And then same problem. You can only machine it so little, because you're also going to change the height. And you can't do that. Now this cylinder, and here's where we're at with this thing, which really breaks my heart. I mean, the 2 conversations I had with the owner, I don't know what to tell him. It's just, it looks horrible. Here's the conversation. Options. We could replace the block. Well, the block is $6,000. Just the block. No bearings, no rings, no nothing. We take this thing apart, we measure everything, we check everything. I don't know what else we'll find. I mean, obviously at that point it runs fine, but we're going to tear it down. Engine has almost 200,000 miles. We're going to find a thing or two. That I can guarantee you from experience. But what about a short block? Well, they're available. That's $8,000 for you. So we're going to put a new short block, and I still have to send these to get checked out, make sure not missing any cracks or anything, because this motor overheated. And if we end up needing heads, well, I haven't even, we pulled this out, the cam cradle. We haven't even taken the caps off. I haven't even tested anything else. At the bare minimum, spending this kind of money, I'd want to put some lifters. Although they're pumped up and they're fine, some varnish on them, I want to test these We haven't even gotten that far. And we're already talking, I think, more than the value of the car. That's the problem. When you have a little four-cylinder, Prius, Camry, whatnot, it's still a lot of money, but it's manageable. This, quoting a new short block, new cylinder heads, I kind of wanted to give him, okay, we could be at that, so you're prepared before we make a decision. I'm going to give you the worst case scenario. I'm going to give you a second to guess what was that worst case scenario. It was close to $23,000. I don't think this car is worth $23,000. That's the problem. Sure, Land Cruisers are selling for a high price, but I don't think it's worth that much, honestly. This is the problem with this engine. Is this truly the best V8 that we all want to come back? I will hardly pass. Thank you very much. You know what V8 I want to be back? The UZ V8. Because I happen to have a car that has 600,000 miles with a UZ that's never been apart. Runs like you can put a cup of water on top of it and you won't feel it running. That was the good V8, not this thing, folks. I know it'll break some of your hearts, but I gotta say it, folks, you gotta be on top of your coolant with these. We are seeing so many of these that are taking head gaskets. It's always the same spot. I don't know, understand that part too. It's always 5 and 7. I'm yet to see this side. This side is always behaving. It's almost like from the birth of this engine, we have a problem with this side. First, the tensioner loves to clatter on this side. And then the head gasket loves to go now on this side. But what's going on with this side? Why is it giving us so much trouble? Folks, it breaks my heart. This breaks my heart. That's the first build. Sorry, we got sidetracked. It's just a little emotional here. This is just not good. That's to put a new engine. Well, wait. Most of you will stop right here like, just get a salvage motor and put it in there. This is a Land Cruiser, folks. How many Land Cruisers do you find in the junkyard? The 200 series. I'll tell you how many. Almost none. There's never enough of these cars to begin with. They never sold a lot. My regular vendor that we use for used engines, they have none. They actually don't even have a part number. They don't even have a stock allocate. Nothing. They've never had one. I tried multiple sources. The only source I can find a used engine from was eBay. I'm sorry, but I can't warranty an engine from eBay. And we had this conversation with a customer. He's like, so basically we're going to put this engine, which costs, by the way, almost $6,000 with shipping and everything, plus labor on top of that, with no warranty. It's a gamble. It's a giant gamble. And the third option, which I am not even going to entertain, there are some remanufactured engines out there. They basically took this engine apart, threw it in the parts washer, stuck some cheapo gaskets and some cheapo rings and bearings, and let's go. That's what a remanufactured modern engine is. There are some companies that specialize in old engines. And you'll notice something, machine shops. There are a lot of just really good machine shops that are starting to put videos on YouTube. God bless them, because they are just craftsmanship at their art. But you notice they never work on modern engines. You notice that? I want you to notice that, because they know what they're doing. Good machine shops will never touch a modern engine because there's nothing to do. If this block was cast iron, you can do anything you want. Hence the UZ engine as a cast iron block. Aluminum, nothing. You can't do much to this. Now here's the last thing with the customer that he's kind of thinking about. I'm like, brother, you gotta sleep on it and think about it. You don't gotta give me the answer now. I know it's taking up space. I know we're stopped in the middle of a job, but I'm not gonna rush you to make this decision. I'll give you a couple days. If you still need more time, we'll push this thing into the side, and you take your time to make a best decision. Because we're either spending over $20,000 to put an proper engine in this car. It's gonna run another 200. Hopefully it doesn't do this again. Or the other option, which he is actually considering, we're going to take a risk, and it's a gamble I really dislike. Technically, this is within specification. I really don't think it's going to hold. I told him, if you want, we'll put the new gasket. We'll see how long it holds. I don't think it'll hold. I don't think it'll hold much at all. And I told him that you got to sign paperwork that we are not warranting this, because I stand behind my work. Where nobody is perfect. We all make mistakes, but how we make them right afterwards is what matters. This, I can't warranty. You see the dilemma? And if you are the owner of that GX, such a nice gentleman. We're going to have this conversation in the near future. Unfortunately, I hope not. I hope it's just the head. I hope it's nothing. We've had cases where not the head, not the block, everything is fine, it's just the head gasket. It just depends. It's kind of a luck of the draw. So folks, no, I do not want the old V8 to come back. The one that just left us. I want the one before it to come back. The one that I have in my entire career, and I've done so many engines now, I've only done 2 or 3 internal work where they overheated because somebody severely overheated them. I have been inside this engine so many times, it is unbelievable. I'll leave a video right here where we discussed all their common problems, but I'll add one to that. Head gaskets. They're starting to become a thing. Be careful, change your coolant. 50,000, 5 years. It's the best money you'll ever spend. Do it yourself. You want to save money, use original coolant. Do it. You cannot over maintain these. Take care of that oil changes. Take care of that coolant, folks. Stuff like this breaks my heart. Seriously. This is just... We went into this shop thinking, okay, we're hoping for the best here. Check the cylinder head, it's fine. Yes, cylinder head is good. Likely that's good. Well, that's not good. And we haven't even tore the other side. I haven't checked anything else. We just stopped at this point. It's like, okay, we're back to the drawing board. Because instead of putting $20,000 in this, well, why don't you just sell it and go buy one for 20 to 25? That it has half the miles and runs fine. That's the problem, folks. Be careful with these V8s. They're starting to chew up head gaskets. And I hope this doesn't become an actual trend thing as they get older, but be careful. Change that coolant. And you know, I want to tell you one thing. I'm in your boat, because I actually own one of these V8s. I got the GX460. Love that car. Love that. Love how smooth it is. I love that. V8s are beautiful, folks. But you got to maintain them. That's all. I'll leave you with that. You got to maintain these things. I see a new trend of folks arguing about maintenance. No. I'm not going to do that 5,000 mile oil change because, you know, oils have come a long way. We got to go 10,000, the environment, this and that. You keep saying that. Sorry, I am normal. I'm very upset about this for this customer and for the ones that are coming after it, for these conversations we got to have. But I'll say one thing. You keep saying that until we're having this conversation. That's all I'll say, folks. Please take care of your cars. You know what? Don't take it to your mechanic. Do it yourself. If you absolutely cannot do it yourself, I admire a man that knows their limit. Take it to a trusted mechanic. Get the maintenance done. It's a lot cheaper to maintain cars than to do this. Trust me, from the bottom of my heart. That's the truth, folks. Folks, I hope this video was helpful and informative. I hope you learned something new. If you like it, consider giving it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, consider subscribing to the channel. Check out some of my other videos. Until the next video, folks, may the Lord bless you and keep you, and you have yourself a wonderful day.